Welcome to Nice from Education, the largest producer of maps and globes in the United States. Exploring Where and Why, your hands-on program for social studies, is definitely a program that incorporates the other disciplines. We looked in session 3 at the many ways that we have cross-curricular instruction. Today, you're joining Exploring Where and Why 101, session 4, your literacy library. It's my pleasure to be serving today as your host and narrator. I'm Pam Gothard, Professional Learning Director for Nice from Education. We've met Ms Lynn in previous videos. Here you can see her with our first grade literacy library. Ms Lynn is a first grade teacher and a certified Exploring Where and Why facilitator. As you can see, she's holding the Literacy Library's Teacher's Guide. Let's begin there. Just as you learned in one of our earlier sessions, the best place to start is the Teacher's Guide. Your literacy library contains 12 books, fiction and nonfiction, and a host of lesson plans. The table of contents is where you'll find a list of all the books contained in your set. You'll also find recommendations as to which books are best used with which activities. For instance, you will notice here that the book My Rows and Piles of Coins is recommended in 7 different places. It's a little unusual for it to be recommended in that many places. But as you can see, there's a lot of flexibility about when you can use each of the books. This also helps if you're sharing resources with another teacher. You're able to juggle that transition between the 2 or 3 of you if necessary. This is just one of the many ways that you and your colleagues can utilize resources without kind of crowding in on one another. As you can see, with My Rows and Piles of Coins, I have an opportunity to engage my students in a variety of cross-curricular activities. I could choose reading and then select between fluency or vocabulary. I could choose writing or maybe social studies, where I have both culture and economics opportunities as well as geography and history. I could choose math, science, or critical thinking. These are just some of the ways that we can utilize My Rows and Piles of Coins in conjunction with our Exploring Where and Why program. What other ways could you think of using this particular book? I'm sure you can think of a lot.
So the story that I want to read to you today is called My Rows and Piles of Coins. I'm going to open it up here and show it to you. Look closely at the pictures. After a good day at the market, my mother, Yayo, gave me 5 whole 10-cent coins. I gaped at the money until Yayo nudged me. Saruni, what are you waiting for? Go and buy yourself something. Now look at the market. Pictures. I plunged into the market. I saw roasted peanuts, rice cakes, and sambusa. There were wooden toy trucks, kites, slingshots, and marbles. My heart beat excitedly. I wanted to buy everything, but I clutched my coins tightly in my pocket. Does that sound like some things that you might want to buy?
Yes.
Kites, guys, slingshots, marbles. Yeah. But look. As at the edge of the market, I stopped. In a neat, sparkling row stood several big new bicycles. One of them was decorated all over with red and blue. That's what I would buy. For some time now, Moretti, my father, had been teaching me to ride his big, heavy bicycle. If only I had a bicycle of my own. A gruff voice startled me. What are you looking for, little boy? I turned and bumped into a tall, skinny man who laughed at my confusion. Embarrassed, I hurried back to Yayo.
For My Rows and Piles of Coins, Ms Lynn decided to use the reading vocabulary activity that is listed here. She read the book aloud to her students and had them watch for the foreign words, and then they discussed and looked up the foreign words that were included in the book. As you can see, the students were listening attentively for the foreign words that they hear Ms Lynn use from the book. Then they're going to use the glossary in the back of the book to look at the foreign words. And then Ms. Lynn's going to have them look up some additional words in their classroom dictionary. The book that Ms. Lynn wants to share with her students is The Amazing Impossible Erie Canal. It's utilized in multiple places, as you can see here. Let's take a listen and see how Ms. Lynn plans to use the book. Lynn has a lot of choices as to how she might want to utilize the Amazing Impossible Erie Canal in her classroom, in addition to the many ways that she herself knows how to use the book. But let's look what's offered. There's a comprehension reading activity, writing, social studies, which includes geography and history, math, science, critical thinking, art, or music.
So thousands of people lined the canal banks, towpath, and berm. Brass bands, school children, and veterans of the War of 1812 waited with old soldiers of the Revolution who polished their medals and their muskets. A musket was a gun. Some folks dressed in Dutch colonial costumes they'd found in their pointy attics. Cannon fire vibrated the air. Here they come! Here they come! Governor Clinton stepped down off the Seneca chief to preside over a pageant of lofty words and entertainments. Banners read, "Peace and commerce." Commerce is another word for trade. So let me read that again. Banners read, "Peace and commerce," and "The grand work is done." What was that grand work they were talking about?
The river. The canoe.
The canal had finally been finished. Okay?
Ms. Lynn's going to utilize two different activities with her students for the book The Amazing Impossible Erie Canal. She's going to use Geography Activity 1 and History Activity 1. Let's take a look. In this particular geography lesson, students were directed to draw a route from anywhere on the East Coast over the Appalachian Mountains to Ohio. For this history lesson, students were instructed to find the Erie Canal on the timeline and then to see what other events were occurring in and around the same time. Well, you've come to our fourth and final session of Exploring Where and Why 101. Please complete the assignment you see here, send it to me, and I'll be glad to give you some feedback and send you a certificate for 2 hours of CEUs. Just utilize one of the books from the Literacy Library, take some photos of your students completing an activity, and maybe some shots of the completed activities themselves, and send them over to me at pgothard@nystromeducation.com. It's been my pleasure to be your host and your narrator. I hope you enjoy using your Exploring Where and Why program.